25 million people that died in the war, including around 20 million military crew members, also mentioning around 40 million civilians who lost their lives due to bombs, diseases, and starvation. World War II began in Europe on September 1, 1939. Then Germany invaded Portland. After that, Great Britain and France responded by declaring war on Germany.
Well, for one thing, it didn't matter how much money you had. They gave out green stamps to a family according to the size, like sugar and coffee, almost every kind of food, and then also like shoes. If if you had needed a new pair of shoes, you couldn't go down, put the money down and buy them. You had to have that stamp. And so gas for your cars was rationed. Farmers were allowed a few more stamps than just people for ordinary things. But
hunger and scavenging for food typified daily life. The occupying forces can only supply the German people with the barest essentials. Food is strictly rationed, often only 800 calories a day.
Everything was precisely portioned out. My father often cried at the table and said, "Mother, just give me one more slice." "No," she'd say, "then we'll have nothing for tomorrow."
people got very low on food. You didn't have what you needed or what you wanted sometimes. But I think there was a lot of families without food during World War time. But then, too, it was, they opened up an ammunition plant. We had one in Parsons where the ladies could go and get work there, making ammunition for the boys. And people in the towns would gather all their junk, steel, and stuff that could be made into to help the war effort. And it just worked together. I mean, nobody desired not to be in the group that was helping because everybody worked together. It's so different than now.
Millions of people have lost their homes and are seeking refuge. In Berlin, tens of thousands pour in daily. Refugees and displaced people from Pomerania, East Prussia, Silesia, and the Sudetenland. Unwanted rivals in the fight for survival.
Oh, probably 15 blocks from our school. And we had an hour's lunch time. So at 12 o'clock, we'd leave and rush home and come back and have to be there by 1 o'clock every day. So by the time you got home, you just had to swallow your food and chew it. Almost, because you didn't have time. And I can remember every child doing this, although a lot of them lived a lot closer. Probably nobody lived much further than we did, but to that one little school. Oh, probably beans. And if it was garden time, we'd have vegetables from the garden. And everybody raised chickens, their own chickens and things like that to use. And my mother would always, we never hardly ever bought a loaf of bread at the store. My mother would make homemade bread about once a week. Almost every window in the house, not every window, every house in any window or door would have stars on them according to how many boys they had in the service. And sometimes it would be 5. And I know my own parents had 3 boys.
Right.
I just can't tell you the different feeling about that war. It just brought everybody together. I mean, just working hard as they could to do what, and they didn't mind doing without in order for those boys to have boots and things instead of us shoes. But it was, I remember I was 12 years old, and whenever a plane would go by, we'd look up because we thought they was going to drop bombs on us.
Wow.
And a long time before, well, sometime before, the paper kept telling us that the president said, we will not enter this war, we will not enter this war. But we were forced into it by the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. Not exactly. We helped. It was so different then, honey. I mean, what do you do for chores? You go out and feed the chickens, and that's about it. And I remember my dad had 1 cow, so we have milk, and not really, not chores.
It is a known fact that World War II could still be affecting people, people's children, and even their grandchildren. They could all still be traumatized by this experience.
I think it made us more aware of not ever wanting another war because of the things they have to work with now, the bombs and all the artillery that's getting so frightful. And it just, everybody said there would never be another war like that. But that was in 41 that started. And since the war ended in 45, I think it was, we've had the Korean War, we've had Vietnam War, we've been in Afghanistan for years, and it's just been really war continually since then.
Germany, 1945. A wasteland of ruins. Almost every second home destroyed. 14 billion cubic feet of rubble to be cleared away. Every available hand is needed. Many men are dead or still in captivity. In Berlin alone, 50,000 rubble women are at work.
A famous and known quote from Winston Churchill, who was an inspirational statesman, writer, operator, and leader who led Britain to victory, states, "You ask what is our aim? I can only answer in one word. It is victory."